Welcome to episode 42 in Duties of the Heart. We are up to chapter 6 of the Gate of the Trust in God, and in this episode Rabbi Bachya gives an expose of the ignorance outlook in terms of making a deal with God, pledge taking with God. In other words, saying, God, before I serve you, I want you to guarantee my livelihood. I want you to guarantee me an income. I want payment before I start working for you. And he spends this whole chapter exposing the ignorance and stupidity and cheek of making such a proposition. So it's quite interesting. Let's begin. So Rabbeinu Bachya begins. I find it imperative to expose the ignorance and error in this outlook in 7 ways, through which the magnitude of the error will be revealed, even if it entails a lengthy discussion, for this puts to shame and reproof the advocates of this attitude, who are known as the advocates of pledge-taking. In this, they are like the businessman who, when selling on credit to someone who does not trust, asks for a pledge at the time of sale, because he fears that his client is unreliable and will be unable to pay him. First of these 7 ways is as follows. The first way of refuting someone with such an attitude is by saying to him, you who doubt the Creator's power to determine and do not believe in his great might, you whose light of intellect has been dimmed, whose lamp of understanding has been put out, overcome by the darkness of your desires, it will be correct on your part to demand and take a pledge from your friend and equal, who has no authority over you and whose command does not obligate you. It would not, however, be correct for a hired worker to insist on receiving from his employer a security for his salary before he has even started working for him. Certainly, a servant should not insist on receiving from his master a security for his maintenance before beginning to serve him. Still less should a creature demand a pledge from his Creator before beginning to serve him. What a thought! For a servant to serve his master on condition that he be paid for his services is considered disgraceful, as it is said in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 1, verse 3. Be not like servants who serve the master on condition of receiving a reward, but be like servants who serve the master not on condition of receiving a reward. All the more so if he dare to ask for a pledge to secure his maintenance before beginning to serve him. Of such conduct, it says in Deuteronomy 32:6, is this how you repay God, you foolish and unwise people? Number 2, when a person receives a pledge from his fellow, there is a limit to it. His demand is limited, but there is no end to what an advocate of this outlook seeks, because he does not know what will suffice to support himself and his family in basics and luxuries for the rest of their lives. Even if he has far more money than he needs, he does not feel secure, because their lifespans are hidden. The measure of their days is unknown. He is ignorant of what he is asking for, since his needs seem unlimited and immeasurable to him. Number 3, one who takes a pledge from his fellow will do so only if he has no outstanding debts to this fellow, and the latter has no claim against him, in which case he is justified in taking it. But if he has outstanding debts to this fellow, and knows that the latter has real claims against him, he should not, under any circumstances, ask him for a pledge. It would not be right to take it from him, even if he volunteered to give it. How much more so is this the case in regard to the Creator, to whom man is so truly indebted that if all the good works of all the people throughout history were to be credited to one individual, all these would not suffice to repay the Creator for even one of his favours towards him. How, then, can this brazen individual not be ashamed to ask the Creator that, in addition to past favours, he should grant in advance fresh favours? This will only increase his debt, while he may never be able to fulfill those vows of service he has already made, because his days will be over and his life ended. One of the pious used to say to the people, my friends, is it possible that the Creator would ask you to perform today tomorrow's duties, duties due in a year or several years from now? They would answer him, how could we be held responsible now for duties due at a time that we may never live to see? We are bound to perform a definite service only at a definite period. When that time comes, we will be obligated to render the service. He would then say to them, thus too the Creator, may he be exalted, has promised you for every definite period a certain provision, and in return for it you are bound to perform a definite service. Just as he does not demand service from you before its time, so should a sense of shame restrain you from asking for the granting of provisions before its time. Why then do I find you seeking from him provision for years ahead, years which you may not live to see? You ask that he provide you in advance with maintenance for your wife and children, who do not yet exist. Provisions for your basic needs alone are not enough for you. Rather, you want to be provided in advance with basics and with luxuries for an indefinite period for which you have no guarantee of life. Not only do you not render service to him in advance, but you fail to make a personal accounting of your neglect of his service in the past, times when he never neglected to provide you with your needs. Number 4. He who takes a pledge from a fellow does so for one of 3 reasons. Number A, lest the fellow become impoverished and unable to pay him. B, lest he become tight-fisted with what he has, making it impossible to collect from him. Or C, out of fear that his fellow may die or disappear. The pledge is the cure for these ills in human relationships. But if people were safe from these 3 risks in their relationships with others, it would undoubtedly be shameful for them to demand a pledge. Now, these 3 concerns are totally inapplicable to the Creator. Hence, it is much more shameful and absurd to demand a pledge from him, as it says in Haggai chapter 2 verse 8, mine is the silver and mine is the gold, and from Divrei Hayamim 29 verse 12, riches and honor come from you. Number 5, one who takes a pledge from his fellow will feel secure with it, since he expects to collect from it and benefit either directly from it or from its exchange value. But as to he who thinks that he will be secure from all worldly concerns if the Creator provides him in advance with all his needs, his argument is a false one, for he cannot be sure of holding on to his money, as disaster may strike him and separate him from it. As it says in Yirmiyahu chapter 17 verse 11, at a young age it will leave him. Furthermore, his argument that he will attain peace of mind by achieving what he desires of material wealth is a lie, and betrays ignorance of what he wishes to attain. For, on the contrary, it could be a major cause of worry and anxiety, as our masters of blessed memory stated in Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 2, verse 7, the more possessions, the more worry. Number 6. One who takes a pledge from his fellow, if he had been certain that his fellow would pay him back earlier than agreed upon, and would, out of sheer kindness, reward him for waiting for his money with twice the sum that was owed to him, then he would never have taken a pledge from him. And as for the Creator, may he be exalted, whose benevolence and great favour, present and past, are known to us, who is known to requite acts of charity and obedience with reward that cannot be imagined, let alone described, as it is written in Yeshayahu chapter 64 verse 3, no eye has seen, O God, beside yours, what God has prepared for those that wait for him. It is much more of a disgrace to demand a pledge from him. Number 7, he who takes a pledge from his fellow does so only if he is able to supply the latter with goods for which he takes the pledge as security. But one who demands a pledge from the Creator, may he be exalted, in the form of advanced favours, is unable to render the service that is due for them. He is not even certain that he will be able to pay his old debts, much less the new ones. For the righteous man can meet his obligations to God for his goodness to him only by means of the help that God extends to him, as one of the pious said in his praises, even the intelligent person who knows you does not glory in his own accomplishments, but in your name and in your mercy, for you have prepared his heart to know you. For through you will all the descendants of Israel be found worthy, and in you they will glory, saying, and he quotes from Tehillim chapter 44 verse 9, we glory in God continually and give thanks to your name forever, Selah. And that concludes the 6th chapter of the gate of trust in God, and a fascinating chapter that describes like a financial arrangement made with God that He should provide before you've done a single thing, before you've lifted a finger for Him. You want an advance payment, and shows how ludicrous a desire or want this can be, and very, very succinctly put in 7 different ways how this idea of demanding from God before you've done anything, which, if we're honest with ourselves, I'm sure we've all thought about, we ask from God before we've done anything. And, we expect from God before we've done anything to deserve, advance payments. So what we should learn from this is put our heads down, do what we have to do, serve God, serve ourselves in the right way, look after ourselves, begin with ourselves, and refine ourselves for God, and He will provide more than if you made any demands of Him in advance. So look forward to doing chapter 7 next episode.